Listen, you absolutely do not need to pay $600 to tint your car. Honestly, the pros will tell you that themselves. We actually tinted our own cars for under 25 bucks, and the results? They'll make you mad you ever opened your wallet at a shop.
But hold on a second. Before you go ordering anything, there's one critical thing we found that separates a $20 tint job from a complete $200 disaster. It's not the film, and it's not the tools, and crazy enough, almost nobody talks about it. We're gonna get there before this is over.
And somewhere in this lineup is a kit for under $25 that actually beat out a $200 kit on flat glass. So definitely stay with us because we're ranking all 5 of these worst to best.
Right, so picture this. It is 100 degrees out in a parking lot in Texas. My man Dean's first car, a hand-me-down Civic with a baking hot black interior, and he's just spent his last 40 bucks on a roll of film.
Yeah, painful memories. I get home, I lay it out on the back window, and within 10 minutes, there are more bubbles in there than a glass of champagne. I'm thinking to myself, hey, this is easy, right? It's just a giant sticker. Turns out, a back window is about as flat as a potato chip, and I found that out the expensive way. And that exact moment right there is the second most people just quit. They blame the film, they box it all back up, they drive straight to a tint shop, and they hand over $400.
Exactly. Which is why today we aren't just listing off 5 kits for you. We're going to tell you which film forgives a beginner, which one will actively fight you, and that one massive mistake that completely ruined my first job so yours doesn't have to suffer the same fate.
We are kicking things off with the absolute most common first purchase in America, and honestly also the most misunderstood, the Gila Heat Shield. You've definitely seen it sitting at Walmart or AutoZone for around $20. Now, it is a dyed film. That means it's not carbon, it's not ceramic. It comes as one roll, 2 feet wide by 6.5 feet long. And here's the crazy thing people miss about it. It blocks 99% of UV rays. That's the exact same as the $200 ceramic stuff. Yeah, and that's the number that actually matters for protecting your dashboard, your seats, and obviously your own skin. 99% UV rejection, and Gila has been making this exact stuff since the 80s. The deep dye process means it won't just fade to some weird brown color in one summer. Plus, it's got that scratch-resistant coating, so when you're dragging your squeegee across it, you aren't carving nasty lines right into it.
There is a catch though, and this is exactly why it's sitting at number 5 and not number 1. It is not pre-cut. You are out there cutting every single piece yourself with a razor. Now, the adhesive is designed to be repositionable, which is great for a beginner, but the film itself is thin. On a totally flat side window, a beginner can get a really clean result. But on curved rear glass, man, this film fights back. It absolutely does not like to shrink.
And shrinking. Okay, hold on. Let's pause on that word for a second. Because if you're totally new to this, shrinking is the whole game. A rear window is curved, right? But the film is flat. So to make flat film follow a curve, you have to heat it with a heat gun, which literally shrinks it into shape. That is hands down the hardest part of tinting. And the cheaper and thinner the film, the less it wants to cooperate with you.
Right, so Gila Heat Shield, 20 bucks, 99% UV protection, absolutely perfect for flat windows, a total beginner taking a practice run, or just doing a single window replacement. Just please do not ask it to shrink over a curved rear glass. You are going to lose that argument. But if you've got a flat glass truck, an old beater, or you just want to learn the ropes without risking $60, this is your film.
Moving on, for just a few bucks more, we hit our number 4 spot, the RockRose 2-ply carbon film. Now this is where things start getting genuinely interesting, because for $23, you get a 24-inch by 15-foot roll, and you take a massive jump from dyed film to carbon film. That's a huge step up. Here's why. Carbon film doesn't just absorb heat like the dyed stuff. It has actual carbon particles that reject a lot more infrared heat, and it resists fading and turning that awful purple color for years longer. And listen, that 2-ply part matters a lot more than the price tag might suggest. A 2-ply film is literally 2 layers laminated together, so it's thicker, it's well more stable, and when you're peeling back the liner and wrestling that sheet onto a window, thicker film doesn't just fold and crease on you, the way a super thin single-ply sheet will.
But wait until you hear the part that actually shocked us. RockRose markets this stuff as easy heat shrink. And you know what? It actually kind of is, especially for a carbon film at this price point. It shrinks much smoother than the Gila, which means that curved rear window that totally ate my lunch on day 1, this film actually gives you a fighting chance against it.
But the catch, because there is always a catch at this price, is that it is still just a raw roll of film. No pre-cut shapes, no perfect template for your specific car. You're doing the measuring, you're doing the cutting, you're managing the slip solution and squeegee and razor, and you're buying all those tools separately if you don't already have them sitting in your garage.
So the way to think about RockRose is that it's the best $23 you can possibly spend if you've done maybe 1 or 2 windows and you want to try out carbon before committing to a full ceramic kit. It's the practice film that's actually good enough to just leave on the car.
Number 3 is where this whole list changes shape. This is the moment we stop talking about raw rolls and start getting into pre-cut kits. And the name that just keeps coming up in literally every DIY car forum on the internet is Lexen. Their computer pre-cut complete kit runs anywhere from $40 to $60 depending on what you drive, and it arrives at your door with every single window already cut to your exact year, make, and model. And I want to be super honest with you guys here because this is the exact kit I would tell most first-timers to go out and buy. And here is the specific reason. Back when I did my Civic, the biggest struggle wasn't even the heat shrinking, it was the cutting. Trying to trace out a window shape freehand while the wet film keeps shifting under your razor blade, and then you accidentally trim just 1 millimeter too much, and boom, now daylight is leaking in from the edge. Lexen just deletes that entire frustrating step. The pieces show up already perfectly shaped.
Plus, the film itself is a substantially thicker, higher-grade material than the 2 rolls we just covered. Forum guys who have run this stuff for 3, even 4 years all say the exact same thing. It never bubbled, it never went purple. And that is huge, because the cheap pre-cut kits from those random no-name brands are exactly where people get burned. You think you're saving $10, and then the film fades to violet in a single Arizona summer.
Now let me just stop you right there for a second. Because if you have been told that pre-cut kits are always worse than rolls, that is a total internet myth. The real reason some people say that is because they bought a sketchy $3 a window kit from some random eBay seller. Lexen and the 2 kits above it on this list are a completely different class of product entirely. The pre-cut format isn't the problem at all. The film quality is what matters. Marcus, so hitting number 3, the Lexen pre-cut kit. This is your absolute sweet spot. If you want a legit tint job on your daily driver, you have never cut film in your life, and you really do not want to spend more than $60. It is the definitive value pick of this entire list. And look, that's coming from me, the premium guy, so that should tell you something.
Right, so now we are at the halfway point, and this is exactly where it gets really interesting. Because everything from here on up is ceramic. And if you have only ever heard the word ceramic attached to some crazy $900 pro shop job, get ready for a twist. You can get a ceramic pre-cut kit delivered right to your door for under $40. That completely changes the entire math of DIY tinting.
Coming in at number 2 is the Rvinyl Carbon Ceramic Pre-Cut Kit. The base price sits right at $35 for the kit, plus a small upcharge depending on the exact shade you pick. You've got options: 5, 15, 20, 35, 45, or 70% visible light transmission. And I gotta say, the specs on this film are genuinely strong. You're getting 99% UV rejection and roughly 80% infrared rejection. Okay, so let's translate those numbers for the person who has never stared at a tint spec sheet. UV rays are the things that fade your dash and actually damage your skin. But infrared, that is what actually makes the inside of your car feel hot. So having 80% infrared rejection means that on a scorching 90-degree day, the air right behind your glass is measurably cooler, and your AC just doesn't have to work nearly as hard. That is the massive difference between ceramic and dyed film, and it's a difference you can actually physically feel. And Rvinyl's massive selling point here is that it's pre-cut to your specific vehicle, just like the Lexen kit, but you're getting that upgraded ceramic material and a much wider range of shades to choose from. If you want 50% on the windshield and a super dark 5% on the rear, which, is definitely legally questionable on the rear, but we'll get into the law stuff in a minute, you can easily mix and match those in a single order.
The one huge thing you need to know before you pull the trigger on this one, though, Rvinyl's pre-cut pieces are deliberately cut slightly large, and they do tell you that up front. So there is some excess film that you will have to trim off after it's on the glass, and on a heavily curved rear window, you still might need to break out the heat gun to shrink it. So just be aware, this is not the zero-effort magic kit it might look like in the photos. But hey, for $35 to $65, you are getting a ceramic material that a professional shop would absolutely charge you $400 for.
And that brings us all the way to number 1, the MotoShield Pro Precut Nano Ceramic Kit. Look, this is the one I would personally put on my own car, and I'm gonna run through the numbers right now so you can see exactly why. This is a full ceramic film, no dye, no carbon, no metal whatsoever. It boasts 99% UV rejection, and get this, up to 99% infrared rejection. And on top of that, MotoShield actually claims their film can drop your interior temperature by up to 25 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, hold on. 25 degrees. Let me jump in and be the skeptic here for a minute, because that is a massive claim.
That specific number is their own internal lab figure, right? Measured right at the glass using their absolute darkest film. That is not what your cabin thermometer is going to read on a random Tuesday in July. Out in the real world, you're going to feel a difference. Absolutely, no question. But nobody's getting a 25-degree drop in stop-and-go traffic. I just want to make sure you aren't buying this thing expecting a blast of air conditioning in a cardboard box. Fair points, Dean. But honestly, the spec that actually matters the most to me here is the material itself. Because these nano-ceramic particles are completely non-conductive and non-metallic, which means two huge things. Number one, it absolutely will not interfere with your cell phone signal, your GPS, your keyless entry, or a remote starter. And number two, it will not fade or turn purple, period. It is engineered to be color stable for the entire life of the film. Guys, this is the absolute closest thing you can buy to those high-end 3M and Lumar films the pros install, but for a mere fraction of the price.
And price is exactly where we need to be totally real with you. Because the full SUV kit, which covers every window plus the windshield, is going to run you around $200. The sedan kits run about $95. So we are definitely not talking about a $20 roll anymore. But put that next to a shop quote. A full ceramic tint job at a professional installer in 2026 runs anywhere from $600 to $800 easily. So even paying $200, you're basically paying a third of the price for the exact same class of film.
But do you remember that big warning I gave you back at the start of the video? This premium MotoShield kit is the exact one we would tell you to skip. Skip specifically if your particular car has a heavily curved rear window. The film is 2 mils thick, and yes, it does shrink. But the people who hop online to leave bad reviews on this product are almost always the exact same people who tried to heat shrink a steep rear glass on their very first time out. We are going to tell you exactly how to handle that situation in just a minute.
All right, so right before we give you our final verdicts on all this, let's finally cover this 2 massive mistakes we keep teasing, because this is the crucial stuff that literally nobody puts in the product description. First up, this single mistake that completely separates a super clean tint job from a total disaster. Spoiler alert, it is not the film, it is not your squeegee technique, it is dust.
Dust, stray hairs, literally one single speck, totally invisible until it's trapped under the film, and then suddenly it is a glaring, permanent dot that you are forced to stare at every single day through your rearview mirror. And here's the part that just kills beginners. You absolutely cannot clean your way out of this with just a spray bottle on a rag. You desperately need a clean, enclosed space to work in, and you have to keep that protective liner on the adhesive side until the absolute last possible second before it touches the glass. Exactly. The pros work inside sealed bays for this exact reason. But you're probably doing this out in your driveway or your garage, right? So here is the real-world strategic move. Only do this on a low-wind day. Soak the glass with your slip solution and soak the entire area around the glass too. Keep the film's adhesive side completely covered until it is perfectly lined up. And look, if you do get one tiny little speck under the film, you can usually slide it out gently with the edge of the film before you squeegee it down. But the second you drag that squeegee across it, it's locked in there forever. Second massive mistake, the heat shrink on the rear window, which is that other major pitfall we keep bringing up. If you've got a curved rear glass and you have never done this before, here's some honest, hard-earned advice. Either buy a film that's specifically known to shrink easily, like the RockRose we talked about, or a ceramic that handles heat really well. Or just start with the side windows, get actually good at it, and save the rear glass for last. Because the absolute #1 pattern we see in bad reviews on every single premium kit on this list is identical. Someone ordered $200 ceramic film, tried to shrink the rear window cold without practice, and just ended up with a heavily creased, totally wasted sheet of film. And third, the thing that can genuinely get you a ticket, tint laws. Almost every single state has a strict legal limit for exactly how much light has to be able to pass through your front side windows, and it is usually sitting at 35% or higher. Listen. 5% limo tint looks absolutely incredible right up until a state trooper hits your window with a light meter. So please check your local state laws before you pick a shade. The film company is certainly not going to refund your money just because you got pulled over. And just one more warning here, because this one definitely cost people real money. Most of these pre-cut kits have a super strict no refund policy if you happen to enter the wrong year, make, or model. MotoShield states it very clearly right on their page, so double-check your vehicle info and absolutely check your trim level too. The glass on a coupe and a sedan are completely different sizes even for the same model. All right, time for the verdicts, and hey, we are totally allowed to disagree here, so here's mine.
If you have literally never tinted a window in your entire life, do not start your journey with $200 worth of ceramic film. Start with the Lexen Precut kit. It entirely deletes the hardest step for a beginner, which is the cutting. It only costs $40 to $60, and the film quality is definitely good enough to just leave on the car for years. Master the process with that, and then you can graduate to ceramic later.
And I am going to have to disagree with about half of that. If you are going to commit the time to do this, and let's be real, this is a solid 4 to 6 hour job for your first time around, then you need to put the absolute best film you can comfortably afford right on the glass, because you really only want to do this job once. For me, that is the MotoShield Pro Nano Ceramic. Ceramic just doesn't fade, it blocks out the intense heat that you actually feel baking you in the car, and even at $95 to $200, you are still paying a literal third of what a shop is going to charge you for the exact same class of premium film.
Okay, but we both definitely agree on the ultimate budget pick here. If you just want to learn the skill, or you only have flat glass to deal with, or you just really want to prove to yourself that you can actually do it before dropping real money, go grab the RockRose Carbon for $23. It is cheap enough to fail on and just good enough to keep on the car if you nail it. Just remember, none of these kits matter if you let dust get under them. So there it is, 5 kits, 3 different film types, and one $20 roll that actually held its own against the $200 stuff on flat glass. Will you pay $600 at a shop or risk $25 to prove you can do it yourself? Your car, your wallet, your